Yeah, and welcome everyone once again to the session. Very happy to have all of you here. Quick introduction to Mohit. He's been with us last time also. He is the Vice President HR Success Talk Gurgaon chapter and partner at Triguna. And one thing that I read on his profile that caught my attention is that talent development has to be structured around three things, around creating three things: ability, engagement, and aspiration. And if you get it right, you've achieved a lot. That resonated me specifically because today's topic is around helping coaches in their career space, career development. And Mohit is going to be talking to us about the strong inventory. The strong inventory test is a valuable asset for ICF coaches, for all coaches rather, providing essential insight into the coach's career interests, preferences, and aptitudes. And it is a robust tool grounded in psychometrics and it aligns seamlessly with the ICF core principles of, fostering client awareness. Strong inventory provides deep understanding of vocational inclinations, enabling coaches to guide individuals towards their careers that resonate with their strengths and values. With that, and not consuming much of the time, I will hand it over to Mohit. All yours, Mohit.
Thank you so much, Shanti, for doing a wonderful introduction. And thank you, everybody, for being a part of today's session. The way this session goes, the last time the way the session was done was with a lot of interaction. And I would again request everybody to, if you can, switch your videos on. Let me see your facial expressions so that we know whether this is sticking with you or not. And the more the interaction, the better it is for me. I would like, this is the style that works actually with me, so I can be open about it. I don't see questions or your hands up as an interruption. I in fact rather see that as a quicker method of delivering the learning. So if you would switch your cameras on, it will make my session a lot easier. Yeah. And on that note, I'd like to ask each one of you a question. Yeah. And this question you can respond to in the chat window, or you can unmute and tell me. How many of you wanted to be a coach in life, a certified coach or a coaching professional, or doing what you're doing today? How many of you really wanted to be this as a child? Okay, so let me just see the responses coming in the chat window. All right, Dhanalakshmi is saying me. Good. As a child, you wanted to be a coach. So Dhanalakshmi, did you know as a child what is coaching as a profession?
I wouldn't say exactly as coach. It was more as a trainer,
as a trainer or a
people,
teacher.
strengthening them. So I would say I was not clear on the terminology till late. Not only as a child, even till last year, I would say till I attended. I was lucky enough to get into a coaching session.
Right.
It was forced by the organization, and I'm really thankful for that. So
right.
That's how I started.
Right. Okay. Let's see. So we're hearing a lot of you say wasn't aware till last time or last year at least, and those are the responses that we're seeing. Absolutely. See, we are here not because we wanted to be here necessarily as a child. And as a child, when you were asked this question, now I would like everybody to respond. Okay, go back into your childhood and tell me, when you were 3-5-year-old, when you were asked, what do you want to become? What was your first response?
Engineer, doctor.
Engineer, doctor, teacher.
A teacher, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Raghu, so what did you want to become?
I was very confused, Mohit, in life. And even now I'm confused. And that's where I choose to coaching in a way. It's no, on a serious note, no, I think we just pretty much guided what our parents guided us, right? I mean, my parents said it's an engineer, a doctor. And I think I certainly became an engineer.
Ananta, you're saying you wanted to be a judge. That's amazing. I'd love to know more. How did that
Ye-
happen?
Yeah, from a very early childhood, I was named after the Chief Justice of Tamil Nadu, Chennai at
Mm.
that time, High Court, and sort of it drilled into mine. And even today, when I look at fairness in the FIRO inventory, when I look at that, that judge part of it stands out. So I wanted to be a judge.
And what are you by profession, though?
I was an engineer by profession, and today I'm an executive coach.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So Srinivas wanted to be an engineer. Rakshit wanted to be an explorer. Sarah, what did you want to be?
I go the same way as Raghu. I'm very confused and still confused.
Very confused.
I love to play, so just play and have fun in life.
Yeah, yeah. And this is what today's discussion is going to be about. That and I'm going to ask you to think about today's session as a repository for all of you to look at executive coaching, but also look at career coaching for a lot of people. The instrument that I'm going to unfold in front of you will come in very handy when you are consulting with either individuals or consulting with companies, or you're consulting with institutions, or you're consulting with parents who've got deep pockets and who want to really explore for their children as to who could they become or what could they become. Right. So think about all of these options when you approach this session today. So, you can keep your perspective really, really broad. The application you will see will come in from multiple angles. I have explored this tool first as a user when I was with Nielsen, and we were trying to crack a business problem. The business problem we wanted to know was, and typically this is something that a lot of organizations want to go behind, I wanted to understand who are really hunters and who are really farmers in our organization. So how do you figure that out? Because sales, everybody does. Everybody builds up their number. Everybody at the end of the day, clocks that number in by hook or crook. Some do it with joy, some do it with lots of cribs, but then everybody wins at the end of the day. Because maybe somebody who was on top of them was a good watchdog, and he or she ensured that the numbers are clocked in. Either it was the fear of God, fear of performance, fear of review, or some consequences, and people do bring their numbers in. Sales happens by a discipline. Some people love it, some people hate it. Similarly, research is the same way. Similarly, communication is the same way. Similarly, any profession is the same way. Every profession requires you to be doing certain things, and many a times you are caught in a wrong job, right? Where with this popular Monster ad, right? Are you caught in the wrong job? Is a very real situation. People spend maximum amount of their life working, and sometimes working in roles that seem like a hard task. So I'll go to a few conversations before I really lead you into the content, because I want to make it a little free flow, so that I also am able to give you symptoms when you should think about this toolkit. As a coach, it is important for us to know exactly when to bring which toolkit in as well. And I want you to familiarize yourself with when would you think about this toolkit. So when you hear things like, I want to seek work-life balance, I get really exhausted at what I do today. I'm trying to find the source of my inspiration in something else. I am fed up of what I'm doing today. When you hear such things, this could be a good way and a signal for you to discover if there is a need for a client to undergo this instrument. Because a lot of times there is no congruence between what the client wants to be and what the client is today. Okay, this is about those guys who already, or ladies who've already been in their profession to a certain degree, and they have reached to some part in their life where after spending several years in their careers, they've realized that maybe they're not interested in what they were doing. Now, I'll give you an example. I spoke to two people in my company. Both of them excellent sellers, Both of them could make you eat off their hands. Both of them very knowledgeable. To one person, I asked him, how would you want to spend your full day? He said, I will never want to return back to office. I would every day would love to just sit around with the clients, chat with them, be in their organization, start sniffing, explore, do all of this. Then I asked him, but you wrote a white paper very recently and you were celebrated for that. You're not talking about that white paper that you wrote. Where did that go in your achievements? He said, you know what, such a pain that was. I was very proud, but I must tell you, I have been delaying to write that white paper for a year. Finally, when it got wrote off, I just said, man, this one headache off. Then I spoke to another gentleman. He was also very good at sales. People would talk out of his hands and everything. And when I asked him, I said, how would you like to spend your day? He said, I would love to write white papers. I would love to do research. I would love to get to know the reason behind the why does consumer behave which way. I said, and how about you clocking your wonderful numbers? You're an ace sales guy. He said, you know what, that exhausts me. Nobody knows this, but really, every single meeting I go to, traffic kills me, meeting a client kills me. These are all those uptight people who have their egos. The moment I see them, I know that they're egoistic and I don't want to talk to them. And I said, okay, maybe this guy is seeing something that this guy isn't seeing. So I went back to the first guy and I said, hey, buddy, tell me, don't you feel a little odd about the meeting process of new people and, connecting up with those clients and every time? He said, I find that very, very enticing because that is what I live for. I look forward to those opportunities when there is somebody who I've never known, because I crack jokes with them and I like to know about them. I get to learn something about them and I genuinely get interested in seeing them. But I said, okay, that's about opening of sales. How about the follow-ups? He said, follow-ups is the life. And then I went back to the second person. He said, following up kills me, man. Why can't people just do things in one go? And that's how I realized while both of them were in this profession, one was loving it and was hating that other part of writing white papers. Another was loving it only when he wrote white papers, but not when he did his sales. So one was a hunter, another was a farmer. And when we discovered with both of them and asked them that if we took a significant part of your role of what you do as farming, like, proposal writing, following through, writing the closures, trying to do the background, all of that, if we took that away and just gave you a team that could do that for you, and you just be in the market, would you love it? He said, any day, I'll give a limb for it. Take money from me to do this. I said, wonderful. And then we asked the other guy that, what if we gave you a BD person who could hit the market every day? He said, you know what, I've got a process node where I can really look at the sales funnel. I could just look at how the sales funnel is going through. I could actually look and seek those, plugins and those leakages, and I can really make that happen. I can really close those leakages because my idea is of closing the process so well that it becomes watertight. I said, okay. And then both of them thrived. What did I do? I just took one share of that person's role and gave it to the other one. And I took one share of that person and gave it to this one. They did not mind selling for each other. They did not mind doing each other's work. It is just that they were not communicating to each other, or nobody thought that there was a possibility of taking farming away from a hunter and hunting away from a farmer. You with me so far? Am I making sense? Now, what is this model, or what is this instrument based on? This is called strong interest inventory. This instrument was researched 100 years ago by a professor called E.K. Strong. He coined this terminology around people's or psychological interests of human beings. Like, what are you interested in doing? And I asked my coach, Dhanalakshmi, who is a hunter and who is a farmer, I'll tell you, there are certain characteristics in this one where when you total up the results of some of the aspects of the toolkit, you will get the hunter value. And when you total up the values on some of the aspects, you will get farmer value. It's a very scoreable thing. So it's not a perception-based thing. So I went back to seeking that, okay, how can we make this hunter-farmer land well in the organization? Yeah, Raghu, you have a question as well.
Mohit, it was going back to the example that you shared, right? While this is all good, but my first question is, why do people end up being in the wrong role? Like, what motivates them to stay in that role for such a long period of time? Even let's suppose that, right? Which perhaps causes disengagement. My specific question, Mohit, was around if salespeople, right, are motivated by money, right? Why would that farmer do the hunter role? Let's say that if you take away that salary component part of it, that sales compensation from his role, how would we react to that? Because the compensation plays a critical role in, I'm going back with your example, right? There should be a reason why they are. Could be, I've done sales all my life, right? Even now I say crap at it, but what attracts me is the money attracts me, even though I hated it, right? So I'm just very curious to understand, how would you categorize hunter and farmer? It's good, but people, there are other factors that comes into play as well, such as compensation. I'm sorry if I'm making any sense to you, Mohit.
No, it is making complete sense, because these are basic questions that we should be very comfortable answering as coaches. Look, money, Raghu, is one of the common denominators that exchanges services, products, lifestyle, and anything and everything. So money in itself does not motivate people. It is what we can buy from money what motivates us. So money is going to be always a common attraction, no matter whichever profession. Okay. Now, while I say that, a lot of people do not want money. They find meaning in other things. Some people are very clear about that they do not want money, and they are driven very clearly. That percentage of population in the world is very insignificant. Those who are so well aware in life that they do not want to pursue money, and they are very clearly determined about it. Either you are trained, either you are made aware, either you are like that, and very few people are like that. And I will show you a video with which you will get to understand how does this decision then get made. Actually, like I asked most of you, what did you want to be? Some of you said, I wanted to be a judge, I wanted to be an engineer. What did you end up being? Well, I ended up being someone else, right? Why? Because most of the time, we do not know what we are interested in. Skill development and interest are very independent things. I can be extremely skilled at doing a certain job of sales by learning the competencies around it, which is knowledge, skills, and attitude. I can build all of that. It's learnable. But I can still be very disinterested in selling. Like I gave you the two examples. The guy who was very interested in selling, let us say, call him Vivek. And the guy who was not interested in selling, let us call him Abhinav. So Vivek was a kick-ass salesperson. He wanted to be in the market. He was skilled at selling and interested at selling. When your skill and interest fuses, you have what you call nirvana zone, right? You come back home feeling great that you made a sale today. When you are skilled at selling, but you're not interested at selling, and you come back home, you come back tired. Okay? You still will make sales. So both of these sales guys are driven by commissions, because for both of them, they don't make money only for themselves, they make money for their family. So money plays an important exchange commodity, which gets my family security and safety and continuity. So there are multiple other reasons for which people work, right? You and I both work not only to suffice our needs, but our family's needs as well. What if we were left independent? Maybe we would have taken different choices. But that's not how reality is. So reality in a human being's life is not only surrounded by their personal orientation, it is also dependent on the ecosystem that they operate in. If I were Ambani's son, right, and were sitting on this program, I could have said, okay, well, money does not matter, you know. I'm the most richest anyway. Fair? So that's the distinction over there. Money attracting the sales component. Money is basically a commodity. Now, why study interest and study engagement? Let us understand that element very importantly, because this is where the secret sauce for selling this instrument also sits. As coaches, you must also know that, because with this understanding, you'll be able to pitch this product well to your clients as well. And you will also know whether it is to be used or not. See, if you do a certain job, like I'm coming after having delivered a full day of training programs, middle of Gurgaon, battling traffic, and I'm still interested in running the session. Okay. I'm actually motivated and I'm enjoying doing this, because actually delivering to an audience is something that I'm always interested in. I will give a hand and leg to do that. Now, if I make that as my profession, what happens? I am never going to ever work again in life, because what I'm doing is what I'm interested in, and I've built skills over a period of time. Now, I may not be interested in this profession, but I can learn, right? Skill can be learned, knowledge can be acquired, and you can definitely be tutored into building an attitude. Look, when you were a child, you did not have an attitude naturally to respect others. This was tutored into you that no, you've got to respect elders, you've got to respect others, you don't say swear words, you control your anger. And how does attitude build? Attitude is built on the experiences one contains. And within those experiences, when you realize whether, okay, something went positive, negative, I was rewarded, not rewarded, so you build an attitude. And then that becomes your lens to look at the world. Yeah. So you always look at, okay, honesty is the only thing that is going to get me going. Not that it will always let you go, but then that becomes a way of life. So skills, competencies, skills, knowledge, and attitude can be acquired. You can live a life in a dungeon if you're not interested in that. So what you will end up doing, you will end up taking that source of energy from other things. You must have seen a lot of people who are not interested in what they do, but they do this for a living. Then they say, okay, I take my energy out by gardening, by going off on trekking, by playing music, by listening to music. This is how I relax. You know, I tell my people, the day I'm training is actually a day off on my calendar. Why? Because I'm doing what I'm interested in doing every single day. And by the way, that is my profession. So every day when I train, I'm actually on time off. How about that? Yeah. So this is why we should study this instrument of strong interest inventory. When your interests get fused with the job that you do, you live the life of nirvana forever. When your interests are against the job that you do, you are always trying to search for opportunities to live your interest. Yeah. And people will some or the other way find their route to fulfilling their interests in some or the other way if they have capacity. If they don't have capacity, if they're not well off, if they don't have opportunity to delegate, like in a lot of situations, your client may say, but I can't do this because I'm caught up and I have nobody else who can take this part of me so I could pursue my interests. So those people will forever live in that void, living the life of incompleteness. And they'll crib and cry through that part of their life, and then they will give that back to either their family, their own relationships, their own overall performance. They will be thrown out of the jobs. They will never take discretionary effort. So I'll go back to what I said at the beginning or let's say Shanti said, if you want to build talent in the area of capacity, capability, engagement, and aspiration. Talent, if does not have engagement, will never give its discretionary effort that is available to them. You have extra 30 minutes, you will give 300 hours if you're interested in it. And if you're not interested in it, you will consume 9 hours in a day at a job and do 2 hours worth role. You with me? If you're interested, you'll do the same job in a much better fashion. If you're not interested, you will not do the same job with that interest. Talk about top talent and mediocre talent. Top talent does the same thing in less time And mediocre and poor talent does the same thing in higher amount of time. There are several arguments in our vicinity to figure out whether this works. So let me now show you a little video here with which I'll draw your attention into who influences us when we don't influence ourselves. So in a movie, I saw this scene and I will just tell you about it. So there is this mentor who's telling small kids, what do you want to become tomorrow? So the kids say, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this. He says to them, go and tell this to every friend you have. Go and tell this to your mom, to your dad. Go and tell this to your pencil, your sharpener, your eraser if you don't have people. Go and tell this to your dog or a cat. But do tell this every day so that you can tell yourself you wanted to be this, so that in future when you reach that stage, you don't forget telling this to yourself and then someone else does not tell you what you want to be. Yeah. So let me play this video and get you engaged on this one. Let me know if you're able to see or listen to the audio of the video. Raise a hand if you're not able to.
When you were a kid, you had dreams. Maybe you wanted to be.
Are you able to hear the audio? Okay, great. I'll play that again then.
When you were a kid, you had dreams. Maybe you wanted to be an astronaut, or a lion tamer, or an inventor of something awesome. But as you get older, your interests and passions change, and you discover other things that you love to do. But you have no clue how those interests or passions could actually translate into a real career. On top of that, there's a choir of outside voices that all want to tell you who you are and what you should be. And those voices are hard to ignore, especially if you don't really know yourself. And the tragic thing is, if you don't know yourself or what the best career options are for you, the chances of you ending up here are pretty high. But what if there was a way that you could know yourself and discover jobs that people like you tend to thrive in? Well, the Strong Interest Inventory is here to help. The Strong is a career assessment that helps you discover who you are and explore career paths that are the best fit for you. And this knowledge is powerful because if you know what you like and what you're like and where the people who are most like you thrive, then you can be free to pick a career that you're going to love. Think about it. You're going to spend hours and hours and hours of your life working. So why not enjoy it?
All right, what are your takeaways from the video? Anything that resonates?
Mohit, when exactly do you use what stage of career? Is it for new, like for people who are starting their career, or is it midlife? Right? I'm trying to understand this inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you use the Strong Interest Inventory for college going students,
Okay.
for students who are selecting their choice of career, like you've crossed 12th standard and you want to make a choice into whether you want to go for X, Y, Z. Would you want to take biology, or would you be a great doctor by taking biology, or would you be a good bioscience expert? Would you be a good engineer in this particular phase, or would you be a good civil engineer? What would you enjoy more? Is construction your thing, or is materials your thing? Now, how do you know that? That's a little confusing thing. For us as career coaches or as coaches, similarly, it is very difficult to crack that to the last T because we don't know, man.
Yeah.
So we definitely need instruments to help students who are going to make that choice because they're going to make an investment. Usually what happens, my mom actually told me I can be a chartered accountant, because her friend's son was doing CA. She sent me to CA. I told her, Mom, I'm going to suck at doing it. She said, no, you should go. I went in, did my, CA foundation and I failed gladly. And then I come back and now today I'm coaching a lot of CAs actually. That's a different thing. So I was not meant to do CA. Yeah. So my sister went into doing a course on physiotherapy because at her time, at her career stage, my mother heard from somebody that physiotherapy is a good thing. She wanted her to pursue physiotherapy. She also failed at it. Then she became a salesperson in Hitachi. She's doing something very different from what she was asked to do. And most of the time, our parents tell us. Then there is always somebody in the family, a didi or a bhaiya, who's been very successful. Then there is somebody who we have been calling our la mentor of whatever reasons we call them. So we always look for references who are closer here and there. And then advice comes through. Then we pick up, how do we make decisions? This is nearby. This is affordable. This seems being easy. I have done it. You can do it too. And that's how people choose careers at the student's life. Okay. Cut it short. Somebody has spent some time in the corporate life or working 5-7 years in their career. Now they've grown to a certain level. Either, now I'm going to go to a corporate and then I'll come to the business in a bit. Corporate, you spent like 5-7 years. It takes first 3-4 years to just explore whether you're meant for it, you were meant for this or not. And in the first 4 or 5 years, you figure out whether you're going to be an operations person, you're going to be a HR person, whether you'll be a sales person, which direction are you going to go? Will you be selling the products of the company? Will you be building the products of the company? Will you be managing the products of the company, or will you be managing people in the company? These are 4 directional, choices that everybody has. Now, people grow and then they are offered, hey, there is an option available, a little senior. We want to send you to this particular islands. Would you like to take that role? Now the person is very interested in going for a foreign trip. The person says, let me pick that up. Now that person goes to the foreign country and then he realizes, oh my God, I never wanted to work on myself and do all of this. And the sacrifice that I wanted to do actually was just for a foreign trip. And I ended up being in a role which I don't like because I'm not interested in doing what I'm doing. I was interested in just the fun part of it. So why jobs seem to be less fun after a point in time?
What happened to it?
Yeah. So, Gayatri, you have a question? Okay.
So, Mohit, does this tool give more than one choice? Because why this question is probably basis my selection. Say it says you are best to do this particular course, and I look at the opportunities outside my country, and I also or the cost of it is high, and probably I cannot afford. So, does it show alternates?
Yeah, it does. It does. I'm going to show you my report, and then I'll show you how many professions I was marked against. And today we have a report where you can see actually 100 more professions added. So the latest one is even better. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll show you my report. I'll show you the authentication, and I'll tell you something very interesting about my role, my profile. And then you'll understand why this is such a brilliant tool to help people make decisions. So coming back to the career professional journey, where a professional has figured out, I've spent 5 years, now I'm at a career stage where I want to be, making a choice whether I want to be an operations leader, I want to be a people's leader, I want to be a sales leader, I want to be a product developer. Which side do I go? Right? So at that stage as well, this career tool can become a very fancy thing to do. Now, you might be consulting with several organizations. You might be saying, hey, where are you in your career journey? The organization leader may say, I want to really take a call. My top talent going from manager till senior manager, or, executive to managers. I want to do a career sort of a choice making for them, because this is very important for us. We recruit internally, we grow talent organically, but we want to be sure of putting the right person to the right job. Now, what people do, simply, they look at ratings. How has this person done in the profession? There is always a performance rating system. The rating tells you this person's been significantly better than the others. Whether he's been interested or not, you'd never know that. Then you look at 360 feedback. Everybody says, great seller. I know, always meets numbers. I know everybody says great things, but there is always one area where you know that this person is great at all of this. You're still unsure about making the decision because inside out, this person somewhere not that interested in this role. You have a little fear giving that role to that person. Okay. So that is where this can come in very handy. You can actually tell a seller, boss, you might be in sale, you're actually a farmer. Oh, chemist, you're actually good for chemistry. Oh, you're a lawyer, you could be better at a teacher's role. And a lawyer will actually tell you, hearts and hearts, I'm still a teacher. I'm actually ending up teaching everybody what is the right and wrong thing in life. Law is just a profession I scaled up myself because I had time. So you might find such wonderful discoveries, and then those situations can be the places where this fits it. Another situation, people are transitioning out of their careers. The big, wave that we have seen where a lot of us got thrown out of the companies, right? A lot of attrition happened, downsizing happened, restructuring happened. Now people have done for whatever number of years they've worked in that area, and now suddenly they say, hey, how do I find a job in this profession? Because I see that I don't know whether I can even find another role in this one. Okay, maybe there is no job in your own company. That's why you were asked to go. Maybe when you looked out in the market also, there is no more job available in this area. Now, what do you do next? Could you become somebody else? Now, you could well become somebody else, but you're not certain about taking the decision, because after spending 15, 20 years in a career, you feel very hesitant in taking a decision. So career transitions is a wonderful place where this can fit in again. And finally, end career. End of the career. Career is over. You're still not dead. You want to do more, but you want to be meaningfully occupied. You've seen a lot of people go very cranky during the end life, last stage of the career. How do I really spend that time? And by the way, those folks are really, really good deep pocket guys. Loads of money in their career. They don't know how to go and invest it. So they just wail away their time. Then they start nitpicking on their family members, whatever. Give them this toolkit, and you could be doing a wonderful job and a great favor to them by bringing this toolkit to them. Hey, by the way, do you know you could be doing this? And I never thought I could do this. Maybe, this is something I should try, given the fact that I'm actually interested in this, and this role can be done by me still. Can I explore it? And once you make the guy who wants this, the lady who wants this, you make the supply meet the demand, the fusion can take it to any level. So there are 4 reasons why you should look at this tool. 1, beginning of the career, student. 2nd, starting of the career in the middle phase, where you want to now make choices into which route map you want to go. 3rd, within the route map that you are, which specialization can you go for? 4th, transitions. 5th, end career. Several places where this toolkit can come in handy. Okay, the toolkit where I told you about hunter farmer, for that you might have to talk to me separately. It's a different detailed discussion. This is not the strong interest inventory available by Anahat, the distributor. The hunter farmer customization is something that I can help you get done through my own team. We actually customize the Holland's model differently. So it's at the base level, the same Holland's model that Anahat has used. Not Anahat used it. Anahat is the distributor, but EK Strong method of doing this has used, and what the other unit does, but they use the same model to tweak the outcomes. We have done enough factor analysis to figure out that our data, the outcomes that we get, and we checked it with human beings who were in those roles. They conferred 95% of the times that yes, this role is exactly matching that person's outcomes. So there is enough data to say that hunter farmer customization, the who could be frontline, who could be backend, who could be doing this, who could be doing that, that customization we can always do. Okay, now coming to the model. And Ram, your question, Mohit, wouldn't interest depend upon exposure about the field? And what if the interest is only based on incomplete info or perceptions? Number 1, interest is definitely dependent on the exposure and field. That is knowledge and skill development. That's that part of the competency, Ram. That you can continue to build your competency, but your interest, is something that is sort of given. It's some areas that you are interested in, some areas do not interest you ever. For example, I'm sure you must have seen, many people say, give me a tool in my hand and I would love to spend the full day. Somebody would say, give me a brush in my hand and I love to paint the full day. Somebody would say, give me a book and I would just go lost into the woods with that. That's their interest. And maybe the finality on that is something that they can visualize, a tool, a book or something, but something interesting them might be discovery of knowledge. And the only way they figure that out is a book. Maybe building is this person's, forte, and the only way they figure that out, finality, is the tool. But basically their capability is in building. And that we don't know. So they go to whichever random methods of, exercising their interest. So let's come to the tool for a minute again. Strong interest inventory, just giving you a little bit of a snapshot. It was developed by E.K. Strong in 1928. So we are sitting in 23. It's almost a 100-year-old toolkit, 100-year-old research. And there are several data points in this. This deck will come to you, by the way, so you can read it on your own. I will also be sending you a webinar done by Myers-Briggs, which will give you full details of this entire toolkit. Okay, so you will know every part of this toolkit very widely explained. Yeah. So what it does is it basically hovers around figuring out which profession will the person go into by judging the person around these areas. So you make choices. Would you be more of an accountant? Would you be more of a chef? And then based by making those choices, or would you be this or would you be that? So it's a trait sort of a assessment. You finally come to these 6 aspects on which this toolkit is built. This is called the John Holland's model. Though E.K. Strong was the first person who built this model was finalized by John Holland, who said that there are people who are interested in doing things by hand, realistic, investigative, they are people who are analytic, artistic are there people who are interested in art and etc. Social are people who are more towards people type, nursing, teaching, caretaking professions. Enterprising are people who would love to do business and selling and etc. Conventional are people who would go for more traditional sort of roles. When you'll get to read about this instrument and go deeper into this detail, you will understand definitions about, full detail about realistic, full detail about investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and convention. Just like any other psychometric tool, this also has its own model. The heart of the full tool is just this model. It is also called RISEC, RAISEC. RISEC, the realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. So when you look at the report, what it does is it tells you that, look, here's your theme codes on social, investigative, realistic, conventional, artistic, and enterprising. The report tells you that your code is SIR. The first 3 are the most dominant, right? And therefore your interest will be people, teamwork, because social, therefore you will have interest in being with people, doing teamwork, helping community, etc., etc. Therefore, work activities that might interest you will be teaching, caring for people, counseling, and training employees. Potential skills that you should think about in order to find a role in this particular domain are people skills, verbal ability, listening, showing, understanding. And what you must be valuing a lot is cooperation, generosity, service to others. Now, when you get a report, you read this out to the individual and say, is it true about you? Is it true that you are interested in this? And the person will say, yeah, actually, I am quite interested in all of this. Are you someone interested in mathematics, medicine, science, research? The person will say, no, this does not make sense. So for someone like me, if you tell me, am I this? It will be coming here. But if you ask me, are you somebody who's about business, politics, leadership, and entrepreneurship? I'll say, yeah, sure, I am. You might be interested in selling, managing, persuading. Yeah, it interests me. Have you built skills in this? This is my best skill. I'm sure you must be valuing risk-taking, status, competition. Oh yeah, that is what drives me. Okay. So when you will look at my report, you will see that E is actually higher. So this is how you start looking at this. So in the toolkit, it says that general occupation themes, the GOTs, okay, the themes in which you will actually be categorized. These are these 6 themes. And this is sort of giving you a little bit of a dimension that most likely these are the 3 areas which will influence your choice of career. And you'll be happier if you found roles amongst some of these work activities. Now you'd say, this is not enough, Mohit. Of course, this is not enough. So what do? We go further basically into looking at interest scales. So those who are realistic have interest in some domains. What are those domains? Realistic people are actually into mechanics, construction, computer hardware, electronics, military, protective services, nature and agriculture, and athletics. Now, these are just interest scales. Similarly, investigative people are all about this. It still does not tell you profession. So remember, there is a lot more to come in the report. So it gives you 30 interest scales. It gives you 244 occupational scales. It will actually measure you. Right now, the report I will show you that has 130 professions. The latest report actually measures 43 occupational scales, where what it does is it basically measures that people who are happy in their jobs and are successful in those roles, how much your scores match those people. I'll say that again. People who are happy in those jobs, because happiness is important. Interest is happiness. Okay. Those who are happy in their jobs and are also successful in those roles, how much your scores align to those guys' scores. Now, when you will read your report, you'll realize, and the instrument says that anything above 40 is an alignment in that direction. That means you are meant for those kind of opportunities. You will not be disappointed if you found a profession in that area. But higher the score, more the chances that you will be happier in that particular sort of a profession. Now, without taking too much of time, I will actually show you the thing so that you're more happier listening to the discovery. But before I go there, what other questions you have that I can answer?
Mohit had put a question in the text chat. I
guess can be combination of more than one theme. Is there a limit of number of themes? Okay, yeah, that I will answer through the report itself now. So most of your questions will get answered now as we explore the report. Yeah.
Mohit,
Yes,
sorry,
Sarah.
I had a question. This sounds very similar like Bergman. What's the difference between both?
Which instrument, sorry?
The Bergman assessment.
The Brookman assessments.
I've put it in the chat also.
Okay, let me just take a look. Berkman. It could be. I am not really familiar with Berkman, so I can't really offer my interpretation. Maybe if Berkman's interpretation or toolkit is also based on Holland's, because interest inventory in the domain of psychology was read up by E.K. Strong and then was developed by Holland. Holland developed the RISEC model. Then various companies, Myers-Briggs picked up the Holland's model and created the strong interest inventory module. The psychometric company that I work with, they have created this based on, they call this the workplace inventory, workplace inventory or the occupational interest inventory report. They sell it like that. In that report, you can customize everything to figure out who is who and who would like to be in which role. And maybe Berkman is also based on the same thing. You may want to do a little bit of a research. Is Berkman based on Holland's model? Holland's model is the RISEC model. That's it. If as long as it is RISEC, then the interpretation could be similar. Then which one do you use? Well, this one may give you some more additional inputs. Berkman may give you some additional inputs, depend upon who gives you more features and advantages. So you pick up that report then. But applications are the same. Student, mid-career professional, choosing career options, career transitions, end career. And if you're really looking at, I'm fed up and I want to do something else, then okay, is this something that can be looked into for answering? Yeah, all right. Thank you for the question. All right, let's take a look at the report here. I hope you're able to see the screen. Okay, so on the first page, I mean, this is just the backdrop. So it tells you how strong interest inventory will help you. So when you're interpreting the report, by the way, now coming to the distributor, okay? The distributor of E.K. Strong or the strong interest inventory in India is Anahat. Again, you will need to go to Anahat's website to figure this out. You can get certified. The course is very cheap, by the way. The certification is very cheap. It's in just about 36,000 or less. Okay, so you could actually get certified very easily. I mean, it's one of the cheapest courses to really pursue as a coach, to have another toolkit in your kitty. So when I did it, it was 24,000. Now it must have been 36,000 the last I heard. Maybe they may have revised their price. Report is also very cheap. The report costs only 2,500 rupees plus taxes. They may have again increased their prices to 28, 2,900, but it is less than 3,000 rupees. So as an instrument, it is not that expensive that a client or an individual will think twice before investing in it. Like a Hogan is very expensive. Yeah, 30,000, 25,000. So Hogan is a little big of an investment. Everybody will not go for it. Companies also take a little bit of a time to go for it. But this, anybody in your family would also love to explore, because 3,000 bucks, you know, if it tells me which career choice is right for me, I would any day spend it for my child. I would any day spend this for me to really figure out which career choice should I go for. I have decoded this for several people. In fact, one person, ex-army, he said, I have always deliberated and debated with this thought. For the first time in my life, I got that clarity that this is what I'm meant for. Thank you for sharing. So this is very, very potent as a tool. Here you go. Look at this. I told you my E is going to be strong. Yes, E is my highest score. Then it is R. Then it is S. The ICA is my lower score. So it says that your highest theme scores, Mohit, are enterprising, realistic, and social. So your theme code, E, R, and S. Now, E, R, S, in the interpretation of this particular report, I have several, textbooks from the strong interest inventory, which tells me when your code is ERS, what does it mean? So your code could be RSI, CAI, whatever, and accordingly, you will have some interpretation. So this is how you, as a professional, start figuring this out. Then you look at, okay, where is your score? Okay. It tells you that your scores are high on this area. Again, I'm not going to coach you today on this call to interpret a report, but I'll take you to some parts which are very interesting in it. This starts to answer some of the questions that you were looking at. That does it express to you some professions you could go in? By the way, this what you're seeing are called the interest scales. So it says, Mohit, your top 5 interest areas are sales, military, research, office management, medical science. And your least areas of interest, okay, are entrepreneurship, nature and agriculture, and taxes and accounting. And I was, suddenly appalled looking at this, because this did not make sense to me when I looked at this report. And I said, how could this be? Because you know what? I am right now an entrepreneur, okay? And how come this is true for me? If sales is a thing that I'm meant for and not entrepreneurship, how could I do entrepreneurship still? And what could be the reason? The other thing that I was, surprised to see in this report was that it said that I'm interested in military. Now, I know my Hogan score, and I've looked at my Hogan report, and I know very well I have very high commercial acumen, very high commercial interest. So I, for the last thing, wouldn't want to go into military, because I evaluate things in a very commercial fashion, and therefore sacrifice and all of that is not my thing. Then how did military come up? And this is where this instruments supporting materials that are given to a coach are fantastic. This report told me, in fact, my coach brought this to my knowledge, that military is coming up high because I have a very high interest towards the tools and machinery, etc., that you get to experiment with when you are a part of any organization like military. Is this making sense, everyone? Sorry, I can't see the delegates right now. Yeah. So the tools that you get to experiment with, they are the reason why military is coming up on top. Military has 3 explanations. 1, you love to give the command. 2, you love to have a position. 3, you love to work with instruments. And either of the 3 could be true about you. So what did it decode for me? It decoded that if I spent enough time in and around tools, then my life will be a lot more satisfying And whenever satisfaction in personal life is going down, I'm getting exhausted. And if I surround myself with tools and make some things of my own, my happiness quotient will go up. And any happier person is more productive, more engaged, more rewarding and rewarded, and more accurate in their job. So I may not be selling. I was an HR person when I took this. But sales came on the top. And I asked my coach that, look, coach, I am not a sales guy. I'm an HR person. He said, yes, you might be an HR person, but maybe you are very good at selling your ideas to people. I said, yes, this is definitely true. I love going and selling ideas. I love the challenge of selling to my head of HR something new. I love selling to my people. This is something we should do, etc. He said, yes, so this is how you make your day. Tell me, do you feel happier when you sell some idea? And I said, yes, absolutely. Love it. And he said, that is when you increase your satisfaction in your job. Now, why you should know about this, Mohit? Because when you know that this is what will give you satisfaction, can you surround yourself with activities that are related to the job of a sales? Can you surround yourself with toolkits? Can you do some bits of research? Can you organize yourself into doing some bits of this? Because this will increase your satisfaction. When your satisfaction overall goes up, your engagement goes up, your cribbing comes down. And if you go at all towards entrepreneurship, and I asked him, I said, sales and entrepreneurship both belong to E category, which is enterprising. Why are you saying that sales is high and entrepreneurship is low? He looked at my report and he said that your risk-taking ability is low. So you will go any day sell for others, but you will not go and sell for yourself. So if given a choice between choosing to jump into entrepreneurship or doing sales role for a selling organization, you must choose to sell for another organization than starting your own company, because you will struggle. You don't have the risk-taking appetite. Or if you want to be an entrepreneur still, sales will definitely help you, except if you're not taking entrepreneurial risk too much. And today in the profession that I am, actually, I can tell you I have sleepless nights only for the risk ability, not for anything else. And this report is true. So what does it do? It tells me what can I be great at, what can I be next good at, etc. So you can see military tops, teaching and education tops. Culinary art does not top much because the scores are lower. And a score of 60 and above is important over here. Now let's go further. It also looks at occupational scales, further drill down. You want to be a management analyst, administrative assistant, credit card manager, credit manager, nursing home assistant. These are the top strong occupations you can find your job in. You want to experience, what does it mean? Are you seeing that it is telling me to open up a document or a link? Are you able to see that?
Yeah.
So when you
Yes.
click this, it will take you to a website which will tell you about everything that you need to do in that profession. So there were a question that, will it help me go further? Well, it will get you to a point where through this one, physical therapist, it will tell you what does this occupation require, what are the technology skills you need, what work activities you need to do, details of work activities, work context, job zone, training credentials that you need in it, apprenticeship opportunity, knowledge, everything that you need about this profession's knowledge, you will get on this website. So this is the power of this tool. This tool does not only tell you your interest potential areas, but also gives you materials and resources to go and explore if you were to make an advancement in this direction. Now look, yeah, Raghu.
Mohit, quick question. Going back to what you're doing now, and going back to your report, top strong occupations. What is that you're doing here?
Sorry?
So I think what I understood, you're a HR, right? But what this report is recommending, top 10 strong occupations, none of them kind of matches here what you're doing. Does that mean that you're not happy in what you're doing?
So I might be doing some activities, Raghu, like management analyst. I read a lot of data of my clients to make decisions. In fact, in my coaching profession, I use this a lot. I'm extremely careful as an administrative assistant. I'm able to build processes. So I write very detailed process notes for my own self and for my clients. So I bring these activities to fore in order to create higher interest, and generally because my interest lies here, right, I'm able to redirect my occupation in many ways through this.
But the problem, Mohit, sorry to be pain here.
Yeah.
What you're saying is, look, there's no defined job responsibility, right? If you're working in an organization, you got multiple roles and multiple hats you wear, right?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
you're picking up is, in terms of what is strong occupations, you're picking up certain areas that interest you, but somehow I'm not convincing this part for me.
Okay. Let me understand your question well.
So what I understood you, about your current profession that makes you happy as a person, as per the report here, it's not matching here.
Okay. Let me answer that. So the choice of being into a coaching role or being an entrepreneur for me, for example, are you questioning that? Shall I explain through that route? Or are you saying that usually people will not change their profession just because a report will say so?
No, what I'm trying to get at, sorry if I'm unable to explain you properly, Mohit. All I'm trying to, I know you as a person, right? I understood what you are and what you're, I could see that passion coming from you.
Yeah.
But there's so much of high level words they've used. But if you go deeper, you're talking about certain scope of responsibility. Everybody does processes, everybody does analysis, everybody does these things. But that's not very fundamental reasons why you have to pick a profession here.
Okay.
Because it's very fluffy. The professions
Yeah.
that you have chosen is very fluffy there.
So here's where it becomes even more specific. So the 130 professions, this is still at a occupational scales level. It goes further down to actual roles: realtor, technical sales representative, wholesale sales representative, flight attendant, facilities manager. Now you cut the report at the stage of whatever score. This instrument says anything above 40 cuts. You become more stringent in your interpretation and say, okay, anything above 60 is something that I'll explore with my client first. How about realtor, technical sales representative, and wholesale representative? These are themes from enterprising, selling, managing, and persuading. If you now ask yourself, Raghu, you are a mid-career role holder. Think about the stage. You already have a job. You are shown this report and asked, Raghu, you are currently doing a job in a company. You've spent 5 years. Now you're going to make a career choice. These are some of the choices. You'll be happy eventually. Management analyst, computer mathematics manager, realtor, technical sales representative, wholesale sales representative, or you could be a physical therapist, school administrator, dietitian. Now, everything won't be there in your role. You're working for one company which is not doing all of this. However, sometimes in the same organization, there are 3 or 4 openings. At somebody who's 3 to 4 year, 5-year-old in the company, they may say, I am comfortable going in any direction, product development, operations management, people management. From this, I can make a choice. It at least helps me make a choice. Again, think about the stage in career in life. Now, think about a student who's never seen anything like this, but has taken a report. Now you're saying, okay, seems you're going to be great at physical therapist as well. Are you somebody who has science and would like to take this? Or looks like physical therapist and school administrator, both seems to be the roles you could go for. You are going to make a profession in, you're going to make a choice in which subjects to pick. Does this give you some indication? Now, then some parts of it, the student can pick up from the report. Depending upon the score, you will realize, and as you will interpret the report to the person, somebody who's got this score of a realtor at 62, and this score of management analyst at 66, and this score of a physical therapist at 63, you'd obviously realize that this person saying mental health counselor versus a physical therapist, the choice will come from that individual also very clearly. I am very clear about this choice I want to make, this choice I just don't want to make. I'm glad that at least a report is telling me that much. So a student's situations clarified, a mid-career professional's situations clarified. Now let us say you don't have a job At that stage, you can make a lot of use of it. Now, coming to an existing person who is in the job and now is saying, okay, what next for me? A person may say, boss, look, it seems physical therapist is the, I'm interpreting my report, Raghu. Okay. And I'm telling you something. When I saw the physical therapist, I actually realized why the score is so high. Actually, my massage skills are very high. I've never told this to anybody in any session, but I'm an excellent masseuse. My wife is gifted with a husband like this one, and I always ask her. So she tells me that, you know what, you know, the best thing happened to me because the first time you ever, gave me a massage was fantastic. I said, man, this is my lottery. Free of cost massage service at home. Now, I will not change my job of an HR person to go and find a physical therapist's role because maybe it will pay me less. But if I'm landed with opportunity that, boss, nothing's available, you can be this or that, and then I have a choice. Okay, where do I see most of the instruments or most of my passion and most of my already existing experience working for me? I will take a career choice. I said, okay, amongst all of these, I'll look at this and I'll say, okay, boss, seems that pharmacist, okay, administrative assistant, okay, art science, sociology, okay, boss, looks like amongst all the top things, where I have my most highest is human resources specialist. And this is also not bad because 55 is the score, though I could be a very well a realtor or a technical sales representative. You know what? I would love to sell a box product any day. But the professional choice, Raghu, is nobody today at an age like mine will give me a job as highly paying and will trust me with the box sales. So what I will do, I will pick up my next best maybe from here. But I at least know that even the next role I want to make could be in this direction. However, I may not drastically change that. Maybe if human resources was given here, let us say I could have been a florist as well, but I would have not enjoyed the job. It is very clear from here. Some parts of it, Raghu, is not as clear as what you're experiencing because, you will have to coach enough number of times with your peers to be able to figure the validation. Once you start coaching with this, you'll start realizing the value because half of the value you bring from the report, half of the value the person also brings. That I align and I don't align. You may disagree on the face of it. Yes, you can disagree with lots of content sitting here. But the person who's going through the coaching actually starts connecting with the interpretation the moment you open this page.
So what I see, Mohit, it's a great way of exploration, right? It's a great way, and I think it's a benchmark where you could use as an opportunity to have those meaningful conversations and explore it.
Yeah.
But in terms of by the eyes of it, I don't want to jump the guns, but it's detailed, but it's too high. What I got out of it is too many permutation combinations, right? And you need to nail the bottom, but just going with your own example in terms of what you're doing and what that report shares, that's far too many permutations for somebody to understand and come to the point of it. But it's a good tool. It's good. Is it a must have?
Any tool for that matter, Raghu, will always come only as close as this. The good part for me to figure out was that I not only have just this report, but I have with me some interpretive instruments along with this. Like the kit that I get along with this, which further helps me to dial down detailed into each one of these. For example, the strong interest guide that I have, that helps me to figure out if somebody's score on this is this much, what does the interpretation mean? So if somebody is, got an accountant, then what is the detailed information around that? What could it be? What are the alternatives? And then again, you start exploring. Yes, with a student, you would love to figure out maybe one sentence thing that, okay, you can be just this.
Yeah.
But again, let's debate this. You tell a student who's starting their career, you can only be this. He'll say, thank you so much. I've got much more options. So the problem will come another way. At the end of the day, it is exploration and leaving the person to make their own decision based on multiple other things. I might still see 55% as the score for human resources profession. Why did I not pick up a realtor? Because you know what? For being a realtor, you need to invest money and I didn't have the money. Okay, to be a seller of box products, I needed to have something on my resume to say that I can sell any, box product anywhere in the world. I can actually do that, but it would take a lot of convincing for the other person to believe in it, unless they see this report and believe in this report. So it's for me to believe in. My options told me, boss, I've got enough credibility, exposure, and history on HR that I can become an HR consultant for lots. I chose that. That was an easier thing than the tougher thing. So after moving into a new role, starting an organization, you want to make your feet go right. That was the reason I chose this particular thing. Maybe over a period of time. And by the way, I am building some products today, which I will start selling tomorrow. They are virtual products. I'm building them because I actually intend to just sell products at the end of the day and not do too much of this. So my interest still lies there. And I may fulfill that interest someday. So at least having the report gives me the clarity. And I'll give you another example. Every now and then, my son and I engage into the activity of doing some things. I have a wood cutting machine. I have a wood sawing machine. I have drill toolkits. I've got all types of drill machines. I've got a big toolkit. And yesterday I made a skateboard for myself, a cruiser skateboard. We bought a plywood, cut out a whole skateboard out of it, fitted the wheels and axles to it. And now we're ready for 2 skateboards in the house. Did this all by myself along with my son. In fact, I taught my son how to do all of that as well. The extent to which the instruments play a role in my life is so high that whenever I am going down in my energy, my health, my happiness, I go back to my coach's advice. And the moment I build something, it restores my energy to do everything else that I was doing. So what do I use this analysis for? Sometimes I choose this for finding my career choice, but many other times when I'm already doing a role, I choose this report to increase my satisfaction, because interests and activities, whenever they fuse, they give you engagement. You want to ask yourself, when you're interpreting for any client, are you interpreting for just career choice? Sometimes it is also about the engagement and productivity and happiness quotient and everything else. And that is where this report makes a lot of sense. So when I said, you will get signals like I'm fed up. Maybe my energy is draining out. Maybe I need work-life balance, and that is where work and life are seen by people as different things. So those who see work is different and life is different, definitely explore with them. Are you interested in doing something else? And you're ending up doing something else. Because when you're doing what you're interested in, your work and life are exactly together. Yeah. Okay, Ram is saying, would like to know how relevant is it for Indians in India? I assume the database is US. Yes, it is US, but it is very relevant. And there is enough thesis and research within the instrument that you'll get to know that it is applicable to the whole world. Although the database is more US, but it is still relevant. And again, the arguments for that sits into the validity and reliability.
It's like Mohit, right? In US and UK and Europe, nursing home administrator, physical therapist, it's a great, they value that profession, right? I'm pretty sure if you do for a student with a parent sitting there, and if that profession's child fits into physical therapist, nursing home administrator, I would love to see what their parents' reaction is going to be. And you know what I mean? It's how that practicality of that fits into it.
Yeah, absolutely. See, career choices are not made just by what is written in this report. You might say, hey, you know what? I want to be a painter. And you may say, hey, you know what? Do it for a hobby, but for a profession or for making money, or I need you to run the family next. And a painter's job may not. A person may become the best of the painter and may still earn the most. Totally depends upon how much resources does the family has to offer that, right? So I could be a money son and I say money does not matter. Okay. But at my level, in my reality today, I can't say that.
Okay.
All right. So I think that is what we had on this toolkit. I will send you a link to a webinar, which was run by Myers-Briggs company. And that details a full detail about this instrument, how this instrument has changed. By the way, what has changed is that when I showed you my report was a comparison on 130 professions. By now, they've also added another 100 onto that one. So there are 230 plus professions that you get compared with. That means more details. It also captures how satisfied and dissatisfied you will be with those professions. So right now, like in mine, we have a scoring category, and you have to remember that 70 plus or 60 plus is what you're most satisfied with. There, that complication is taken out, because over a period of time, then even coaches forget what was my benchmark, and they have to refer back to their notes and all of that. So at least that is kind of given already in the report, so people also take feedback over a period of time and improve their instruments. So that's currently the thing. Key thing to note: inexpensive certification, inexpensive tool. Good thing to have on your resume, good thing to boast about on LinkedIn. You get certified in this one, 3 days of training, 1 day of coaching, peer coaching, and you're done. There's nothing big, no big tests, etc. You get certified to interpret the report. Best part, the commercialization of this happens because Anahat as a distributor in India, or for that matter, for Myers-Briggs, how this works is they give the report only to the coach. So if Raghu is introducing this toolkit to somebody, Anahat will not trade the report directly to the test taker. It will send it to Raghu. Raghu will send it to that person. Now, Raghu may send that to the person without any cost, or Raghu may just give it like that, or Raghu may interpret it without any cost. But Raghu may charge something in the whole process of interpretation and facilitation. That, okay, I might even just give you the report, but my charge of giving you the report is 500 extra. Or my charge is, I will charge you 5K for just an interpretation, and you will spend your own money on the report. So when Anahat does the activation of this instrument, it generates a link. You send that link to your client. You can send them the invoice. Anahat very comfortably creates a pro forma invoice in the name of your client. So there is no transparency issues. You can tell the client that the charge of this instrument is directly paid to Anahat. You can do the transaction. I'm not involved. But the report will be sent to me and my mail ID, because I am the registered practitioner with Anahat. When it comes to interpretation, you will need to come to me. That's how Anahat has also built the ecosystem in a way that the coaches are not like left out of it. Otherwise, there is no point for coaches to get certified, right? I mean, how will they make any living out of this entire U-turn?
Great.
Yeah.
Mohit, there are a few questions in the text
Yes.
chat.
What's the minimum age at which this tool could be administered? Again, 15 years. You could do this instrument. Today, this is offered in schools very, very prevalently by lots of players who, again, use this instrument, the Holland's model. One of very popular, the ones that comes to schools. I know a couple of people, a couple of my friends who have these companies who run it for school students. So they offer it as low as $500. Same model, RISEC model, but they play on quantity. So price into quantity, you just do the math. So if you're approaching a school and a school onboards this toolkit, then yeah, I mean, the toolkit is built. You can go and trade off with an instrument. So I'd say Anahat is the single source distributor in India that trades with Myers-Briggs and brings you this toolkit. But if you want the other versions, which are very well validated, tested based on the Holland's model, you could come to several players who may offer the same toolkit, not with that kind of a detailed report. Like a Berkson report might also be something similar, Sarah, right? The one that you explored. This instrument gives you several links, several validations with professions. Other toolkits may not give you so many of those comparisons with the world of so many professions, comparing your satisfaction scores with those who are satisfied in their jobs. Remember, the more expensive you go, the more global you can go. The less expensive you go, the instrument starts lacking its exposure or connections into other things. So the hunter-farmer thing that I was telling you about, that just interprets to a Raghu, to a Sara, to a Srinivas that, look, you are a hunter, you are a farmer. Why? Because your RISEC model goes like this. Could you have been a teacher? No, that it does not interpret. Then a 500 rupees worth instrument, which is used at a school student, it just tells them, pick science. Science is your top. Then comes commerce. Then comes arts. You are built for science. So students are happy taking that one. Then at least I know after 10th, what do I pick? That's how it goes. So again, whenever picking any instrument, look at the report, look at a sample report, compare the sample report, compare how detailed the sample report has gone, what is the validity and reliability of that report, what all features does it give you. If a feature is just at a student level, the cost will be low. If the feature is student and mid-career, the cost will go slightly up. And that's how it plays. If the feature is customization, cost will go a little up, but not that significantly up. That's how it really works.
Yeah, Mohit, one question here. Will the interest change with the passage of time?
Will the interest change with the passage of time? No, it does not change too much with the passage of time. Your skills does develop, Srinivas. But your basic interest remains same. You may find different activities to enjoy interest. Like some days I actually use tools. Other days I start opening up things. Third day I might just watch on Discovery. I watch a lot. How is it made? That's my interest. So I might spend, again, I'm all around machines. So actually one of my career goals on one of the days when I retire, I would love to work in a workshop, wearing a jersey and working on machines. Whether I'm working in my own workshop, my own garage, or I'm working in someone else's, I would love to spend some time. If I can afford to, I would love to spend some time only on machines. Again, your interests do not change. The way you will realize your interest may change depending upon where are you. When I'm in the jungle, when I'm actually going out for trekking, I love working with instruments. I try making things out of wood. I try making things out of available instruments around, because my interest is always around building something with whatever is available. Now, as a coach, as a trainer, I've used a lot of those naturally existing things to help my clients and delegates. Somebody broke their leg and I built some sort of a structure out of nowhere and supported that lady to, walk through the jungle, the rest of the jungle. Now, anybody could have done that, but I was the first one to approach. So those are the ways you will start realizing your interest. And that's where, when you go deep into understanding the instrument, the coach also offers their ability to tell you how the interest is realized. Interest remains the same. Activities keep changing.
Okay. Thank you.
How does strengths and interest go together? Okay, strengths is, again, very similar in traits theory. Yeah. This tells you the job profession that you will be most satisfied doing. Strengths actually tell you that this is what you will gain a lot of joy out of. So communication is what you will gain joy out of. Now, communication can happen in written, communication can happen verbally, communication may be a part of a role. You will find communication effortless. Yes, jobs related to that might be very, very helpful, but would you be more of a teacher or would you be less of a teacher? Would you be last on a teacher? Should you go for training or teaching? How do you make that distinction? That this report offers you. Okay, I understand this tool is counseling tool to identify an ideal career choices, but also as a coach wondering, if I use this tool, would I get into the trap of leading my client, especially client who is in the career transition based on the outcomes of the instrument? Okay, look, Rakshit, I get this a lot of times. When you're coaching and you're using an instrument, the leader is your client. You are exploring. If you end up advising, check your coaching skills. That's the single answer I have for anybody who gets tormented by this idea. There are two schools of thoughts, guys. Let's understand. One is ICF. Another is the instrument companies. Instrument companies will also do their business. ICF will also do this business. You will not get an ACC, PCC, MCC, etc. unless you go the ICF route. You will not get instruments unless you go the instrument route. Both of them claim they don't talk to each other, but that's not the reality. They will tell you will get biased. They will tell you talk more, ask less. Both schools make their own money. You take a call, guys. If you're reading an instrument and telling somebody you will be only this, then ask yourself, are you really a responsible coach? So every time you ask this question, ask yourself, are you coaching? If you are not doing justice to coaching, then be a little careful in that. All right, looks like we spent full time, 6:30 to 8.
And high energy. I think people are still staying on to get the questions answered. Thank you so much, Mohit. People, a quick reminder for the session tomorrow. I've pasted it in the text chat. This is on business development. We're starting a new series every third Wednesday. It's a little late in the evening so that people who are coming back from work and still want to start their business can join. That's the intent of those late evening webinars. So see you tomorrow for those of you who are registering. Otherwise, thank you so much, Mohit. Very engaging session, and I'm sure people learned a lot.
Thank you so much for considering me to be a part of this one. And really appreciate everyone's energy. I was very astounded to see all 20 of you were still there on the call and, still engaging and choosing to offer your energy in form of your questions and conversations. So thank you so much for being such nice audience. And
there's no link for the CCU. Anybody who has attended most of the session, I leave out 10% of the time of the session, and anybody who's attended most of the session does get the CCU.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a
thank
great
you. Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Mohit.
everybody.
Thank you,
Have a great
Shanti.
time ahead.
Okay.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.